You're watching another episode of Light and Darkness here on ABN. We're on our fifth and final episode on this 5-part series of sacrifice and servanthood. And today we will look at the parable of the Good Samaritan based on Luke chapter 10, verse 30 to 37. Then Jesus answered and said, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now, by chance, a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise, a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and he set him on his way, on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, 'Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you.' So," this is Jesus now asking, "so which of these 3 do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves?" And he said, "He who showed mercy on him." Then Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." So there was a man who was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he was robbed by thieves. And these thieves left him in pretty bad condition because they were thieves, and thieves come to kill, steal, and destroy. And after they left him half dead, after a while, a priest came. And the priest not only walked by him, but it says that the priest saw him. And after he saw him, saw his condition, he passed by on the other side. So he didn't even continue on the same side. So he came, he saw, he passed by, and he continued. So it's three things that happened here in a split second, right? And then after the priest went, the Samaritan still laying half dead on the road, a Levite came. And it says the Levite, when he arrived, he came, he looked. So he probably stopped, he looked, he saw the condition of this Samaritan, and then again he passed by on the other side. So he probably crossed the street, and then he kept walking on his journey. So that's 2 scenarios, or 2 opportunities for 2 different people to come and to help this man, not Samaritan, the man. Then the third was a Samaritan. This is when the Samaritan comes into the picture. And the Samaritan came to where he was, and when he saw him, so this Samaritan came and probably stopped and looked. It doesn't say that the Samaritan went to the other side of the street and kept walking. The first thing that it says, when the Samaritan saw this half-dead man, this half-dead body on the ground, he had what? He had compassion. So it illustrates and reflects the heart of the Samaritan. So the Samaritan had compassion over this half-dead man. And after he had compassion over this man, it said he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and then set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. So this Samaritan could have just bandaged him up and left him there. The Samaritan could have given him some money and continued. The Samaritan could have done everything except pick him up on his donkey and take him. But instead, the Samaritan stopped what he was doing, and the only thing that stopped him from what he was doing was his compassion. So the reflection of the heart, right? And so he did all that. He took him to the inn, and he not only took him on his own donkey, so he probably got off his donkey, put this guy on a donkey, and walked, right? And then took him to an inn, and the inn may or may not have been close by, may or may not have been far, we don't know, but he took him to whatever inn that he found. And when he dropped him off, so he dropped him off at this inn, and he said, "Take care of him." So he didn't even have to go that far, but he went that far. And then the Samaritan, after he gave him, the innkeeper, the money, he said, not only am I giving you money, not only do I want you to take care of him, because look at the condition that he is in, but whatever more you spend on this poor man, when I come back, when I return, I'm going to repay you. So take care of him, do whatever you need to do to take care of him, and I'm going to repay you. Because why? Because I have compassion over this man. And of course, the Samaritan did not know that a priest had passed by or a Levite had passed by. He may have thought in his mind, well, this may have just happened. I mean, I may be the first and the last to walk by this road helping this man, so it's the one and only opportunity. But little did he know that other people had walked by and completely chosen to ignore and neglect this dying man. So, of course, then Jesus says, so which of these three do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? And then the answer was, he who showed mercy on him. And then Jesus, the words of Jesus, finally, he says, go and do likewise. And really, this is the theme of the parable. He says, go and do likewise. He's not necessarily saying go on the same route that's listed here and find a dying person on the road and do exactly what it is. Go and bandage his wounds with oil and wine and throw him on find a donkey and throw him on your donkey and then take him to an inn and then do all. No, he's saying, go and do likewise in any other area of your life, in your daily life, in your community, in your neighborhood. There are people everywhere that are like this dying man that needs somebody like a Good Samaritan to go and help them, to go and serve them, to go and save their life. Because there are people like this priest, there are people like this Levite that are, and that will continue walking by this dying man. And he's also saying that the only way that you can consider doing something like that is if you have compassion like this Good Samaritan. But he's saying without the compassion that flows out of the heart of this Good Samaritan, you are unable to do something like that. So it's really a testing point or a checkpoint or a question that Jesus is asking us. Where is your heart? Out of your heart, does compassion flow? Or out of your heart, does everything but compassion flow? What flows out of your heart? Because whatever flows out of your heart, you're going to behave in that manner. And whatever it is that however you're behaving, are you behaving like the priest in this parable? Or are you behaving like the Levite in this parable? Or are you behaving like the Good Samaritan? Because if really you're behaving like the Good Samaritan, then you are already in agreement with what Jesus is saying, go and do likewise, because you're already in that state of mind, or you're already doing that. You're already following what he's saying. But if you are not doing that, if you are not following the teaching of Jesus, so therefore it's a good opportunity to examine and to ask, well, why? Why aren't I exhibiting those behavioral characteristics when there is such a big need? And the question really relates back to, well, what is the condition of my heart? What does my heart look like? And does it need to be changed, or is it in good condition? Is it in line with the heart of Jesus? Is it in line with the teachings of Jesus? Would Jesus be happy with me today if we stood in the same room and he asked me, what does the condition of your heart look like? What would the answer be? And if the answer would make Jesus smile, and if the answer would make Jesus happy, then it's great news, because we are that third person, we are that Good Samaritan, that if we rewinded back to time and we were really on the journey from Jerusalem to Jericho, we really would have, once we have seen that man, go and picked him up and took care of him and went above and beyond and went the second mile with this man. But in fact, if we would not, then it's a good opportunity for us to say, well, why not? And how can we change that for, number one, for our benefit, and number two, once we have been changed, so then we can go and serve and help those who need to be helped and need to be served and need to be saved. And I think that that's what Jesus wants us to know from this parable, because how we treat those people is really how we're treating Jesus, and how we behave and act and decide in those types of scenarios is a reflection of our heart, but a reflection of our heart is also a reflection of the size of the cord that is linked between my heart and the heart of Jesus, if there is a cord. Some people, there is no cord between their heart and the heart of Jesus, but those who behave like the Good Samaritan, there is a thick cord, an unbreakable cord, an unbreakable bond between their heart and the heart of Jesus. And so this is a way of Jesus asking us, where do you stand with me? What would you do if I were in the same room as you? How would you help those who are suffering? Would you walk by, or would you stop and help? Because there is a lot of need for help by people like you and I. So that was our summary parable, our fifth parable on the 5 parables on sacrifice in servanthood. And we focused on the book of Luke, where we looked at the lowest seat, the cost of discipleship, the 2 builders, the Pharisee and the tax collector, and the Good Samaritan today in the final episode. And it's really, these episodes are an opportunity for us to look at them all together as a big picture and really see, where do we stand? Who do we portray? What character do we portray in each of these parables? And whoever it is, whatever it is, it's neither good nor bad, but it's wherever we stand now. Is this where we need to be? And is this where we can ultimately be? And is this in our best benefit long term? Or is there a better position that God wants to put us? Is there a position where we could be a better blessing, a bigger blessing to other people, and a stronger representative of Christ in today's generation, in these last days, where followers of Christ are scattered, and we're really living in a generation that's dying and that needs more followers of Christ to stand up and stand firm and to serve humanity as Christ served humanity as he walked the earth. But it's really an opportunity for us to learn and to grow and to represent Christ in the way that he wants us to represent him during these days, during our short journey here, during our life. So thanks for joining me here on Light and Darkness, and we'll see you soon.